Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. This is part 2 of my conversation with Tom Adkins, not Adcock, and on this edition we will be going through his experience at EGX this year and of 2019. So we're getting his thoughts on the convention itself, whether it was worth going to, and the games he got to play. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's a bit of a smattering of games, but you went to EGX, which was in London this year rather than Birmingham.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, EGX is basically the UK's... Is it the UK's largest gaming convention?
Yeah, it must
I don't
be.
think there are any bigger ones, are there?
The Electronic Games Expo.
Is it still Eurogamer and all that lot that sponsor it and sort of organise it?
Yeah, because they've got Rezzed as well, haven't they? But
yes,
smaller. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still done by. I think they were certainly there, the Eurogamer boys.
I saw there was some like Digital Foundry.
Oh no, it's Virgin now. Virgin.
Oh right, well there you go.
It's gone up in the world. But yeah, they were there. No, it's Eurogamer. Eurogamer Gaming Expo, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
It was electronic. But
this is our one shot at playing things that ain't out.
Yes, yeah.
It seems. Unless like Nintendo do like a special day, or if that happens maybe, but generally this is the one. In the previous years it's been in Birmingham, which we visited a few years back now. Wind up the walls, all that good stuff.
It's a shame the sort of games media don't use this as an opportunity, a bit like sort of Paris Games Week and Tokyo Game Show, London EGX Week.
Gamescom.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. There's no presentations like that get streamed, is it? It's not it's just not big enough, I think, on the global scale.
True.
So people don't bother, but it gave you a chance to play some games. Before we get into the games, I want to just briefly talk about EGX and the new venue.
Right.
Because you've been to 3 venues now. I think you went to Earls Court. When
Earls Court was the original.
The Birmingham venue.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, I can't remember. And now it's at the Excel,
in London.
The Comic Con, which is, I think it was last weekend. And I know, looking at the videos, they just left half of the stuff from EGX and left it there. I saw it's because it's all in the same venue. The Cyberpunk presentation, the Final Fantasy VII all games and that, they were all in the exact same position as the thing, so they just plop up there for a couple of weeks and just leave it.
Those cheeky bastards.
Well, that's what I think they've done there. Yeah, I don't know if Virgin might own that. Oh no, it's MCM, isn't it? The comic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's some cheating going on there.
So was this, you mentioned offline, this is much smaller?
Yes, the venue
than the previous venues.
Earls Court had an upstairs and a downstairs, and you had games on the upstairs, whereas this was just one. There was two massive halls in there. One was a different convention. There was some like it looked like some aircraft / space engineering convention, which it looked bigger than EGX, to be honest. I think they got the bigger hall. But this, this sort of spanned across one big, large hall, and you could probably walk from one side to the other in about sort of 2 or 3 minutes or something, about 2 minutes. And compared to what I can vaguely remember of the Birmingham EGX, and it was definitely smaller. And certainly the Birmingham it is definitely smaller than the Earls Court as well. So it's they do. And then looking at because Final Fantasy VII was like probably probably Marvel was probably the biggest game there.
Right.
But Final Fantasy was only announced late. It was like in the last couple of weeks before. I think they sort of announced that it was going to be there. Playable. And then looking at the actual lineup of what was there weren't hardly anything there really in terms of sort of big heavy hitters compared to the last few EGXs there.
No.
So they sort of had 3 of there was 3 main big games, and then a few little ones dotted around. And because that's how it was set up, those 3 big games were just rammed all of the time. So unless you were willing to queue for sort of 3 hours, you weren't getting much done.
No.
So I'll be interested to see if they do it again here next year, or if they try and get back to Earls Court, or is Earls Court still there? I don't know if
Nah, it's gone now.
it's gone, right.
They need. It sounds like they need both rooms.
Yeah, I
And
think
then,
they do.
then it'll give them because it's. I mean, I remember queuing at Birmingham, but not for like over 2 hours.
No.
I think, and I remember you saying the games you got to play. We've got a list of them here, but
Yeah.
one of the ones you didn't get to play was Marvel's Avengers, and that was because the queue was at 4 hours.
4 hours
and
long.
you went Thursday, Friday, which should be
Yeah.
quote unquote quieter games, whereas Saturday, Sunday would be much busier. Salmon went on Saturday and Sunday, and he said you had to pre-book
Yeah, that was
times
weird.
and slots for some of the games, and they were sold out within 30 seconds, so he didn't get a shot at some of the stuff as well. Doesn't seem as well organised.
No, they sort of just got as many games as they could. Obviously, couldn't get some of the bigger ones, and then they've just gone, fuck it, right? We've got too many people.
Fucking Kojima's handing out codes already. You might as well put that on there for people to play.
Exactly.
They finished it off these fucks.
Yeah, and that was a thing as well, that they had two big. Well, the cyberpunk state area was fucking huge. And all that was just like a screening of the recent gameplay that was.
Yeah.
So you were queuing up, and that was like a ticket thing. Even on the Thursday and Friday, I tried to get tickets for that, but we couldn't.
Fucking hell.
And yeah, that was just you sat in a hall, much like what we did at EGX that time. I think we watched like a Witcher one, didn't we?
Yeah, I watched a Deus Ex one. I remember watching that.
Yeah,
in a little tent.
That's right. Well, this was sort of like a bigger tent.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just that. So there's me sitting there thinking, fucking hell, I'm going to get some hands on with Cyberpunk. And you've just got a big sort of, it's basically just watching a YouTube video on a cinema screen.
Yeah.
So you had that for that. And also Death Stranding. They called it the Death Stranding Experience. And all that was just off, you queued up, and there was like a sort of life-size model of Sam, Norman Reedus, and then you walked into a room and watched the recent Tokyo Game Show trailer. So, well, hang on a minute, how's that experience?
Yeah. How odd.
Yeah, and like I say,
very
they
odd.
were two big stages that were taking up this whole.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a weird setup, and yeah, after we got early bird tickets as well, and both times we got in there is when we played the big games. That did help us, to be fair, but the queues were so big that one game took up that whole extra 3 hour we had. By the time we got out of there, that was it.
It was packed, yeah, it was it. Everyone was in there squabbling.
11 o'clockers were in, and fucking you had no hope.
Causing hassle. It was open later this time?
Yes.
Do you know if any of the big games stayed open later?
No.
Or they shut up like normal time, and there wasn't actually a lot there after 5.
Basically towards the back end where we, funny enough, we spent most of the time. All you had was like a bar area and board games area.
Right.
They had like the retro sort of area. I think they might have had that at the old EGX. So there was just like loads of old Nintendos and Mega Drives and all the different consoles. So they just kept that bit open. And then there was a bar up there and the board game part. And that's where the after party was. We stayed there for about half hour, and then, we binned it off and went down the pub.
That's a sound strategy.
Yeah.
So we got some games here.
Yep.
We didn't get Avengers. That's
No.
dead. 4 hour. I wouldn't.
4 hour
no one should be
queue. I
doing
sat there and watched. They had the coolest stage in there. That was it was like a virgin stage or whatever. But you had like, as you was queuing up, there was like statue like like when you go to museums and you see like the clothes. Like you see, I don't know, like I say, like Lord of the Rings. You got fucking Gandalf's outfit on the mannequin. Well, they had all the outfits from the game characters, all like mannequins and stuff, and then there was like a big statue of Captain America.
Yeah.
It was like centerpiece, and then you had all the games around it. So there's quite a little. There's a bit so you could sort of go in and have a little look around, and then I sort of sat there and watched some guy play it because it was quite open, the area. And it was just the demo that we've seen. It was just played through that. You got a choice of Xbox or PlayStation, but was not sitting in a 4 hour queue to play that, unfortunately, which is a shame because that was one of the big ones I wanted to get done.
No, that's the trouble with some of these places. You just sometimes you think, is it worth spending half a day to play one thing, and
Yeah,
half the time it's not. But we did get Final Fantasy VII
the
Remake.
big heavy hitter. This was numero one on my list.
Yeah. So how long did we get? What did we get to play, and
Oh,
how was it?
brilliant! So it was the first Thursday morning. This
Yeah.
was trying to meet Hall on a train. He got off at one stop and couldn't get back on the train because it was rammed. So we just went ahead. Finally got in, queued up for the early bird. Got in there at 10. Queued up. I think we finally played the game at about just before 12. So almost
Yeah.
2 hours it took us to get there, to get to the thing. We goes on the game. I play for about 2 minutes, and the whole thing just has a power cut. All the game, every single screen just went blank. I was like, for fuck's sake! And I thought they were going to kick us off, but
Yeah.
luckily they said like, oh, they got some engineer down, and they just put us on to the next session.
Right.
But yeah, it was hilarious. I was like, for fuck's sake. But yeah, then we actually got to play. It was just like a demo of. I think it's been on one of the video. I think it was at Tokyo Game Show, and it's like play. It was just the first boss that you come across in Final Fantasy, the Scorpion robot, and it was just a little tiny bit of a walkthrough to go through fighting some little mobs. And then you fought the boss, and then that was it. And you got about sort of 15 to 20 minutes to play it. So it was quite a sizable chunk to play. Normally, sometimes, I think, like, remember last year we queued up for about 2 hours and played one for about 5 minutes. I was like, oh.
Ideal.
So yeah, you got a nice, healthy, at least 20 minutes, I think it was. But yeah, I was blown away with it, to be fair. It's incredible.
How's this combat work then? We've seen lots about it. They've done a nice blowout of it at EGX, but until you've been playing it, how does this sort of active real-time combat pan out? And you've played 15 as well, so you can speak whether there's a comparison there, whether they've just crapped on that and gone, right, we've got something better here.
Yeah, in first look, you'd think it was the same combat from 15, but it's not. It's more... Basically, there is a complete, like, you know, you're going to get the originals. They go, turn-based, I want my turn-based. There is a turn-based version, but we didn't get to play that yet. So, and this is definitely going to be my preferred way of playing. Yeah. Whereas on Final Fantasy 15, you just held down an attack button and it sort of auto-done it.
Yeah.
This is very much more like a hack and slash game where you sort of you've got your big sword and you're constantly pressing a face button square, I think, to sort of attack. As you're attacking the mobs, you have like a little meter building up. I think it's called like an ATB meter.
Yeah.
And when that fills up, then you can then then you press, I think it's like L1, and that will then pause the game, almost like a sort of turn-based strategy. And you can then use your sort of magical powers that you have. You can use, you know, whatever they have in those games. Use your spells or any sort of elemental thing you can have. And it's more of a tactile way of playing. You can you don't have to just sort of run around and hide. You can sort of pause the game and have a look about and think, right, if I attack him from here, then you can sort of switch your characters on the fly and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good way of doing the combat. It's a sort of mix between sort of hack and slash and sort of a turn-based strategy. Well, not turn-based, but, you know, a sort of tactical way of playing rather. But the way it built up, it was really good.
No slowdown, anything like that? Runs at decent frame rate, all good stuff.
Ran at about, I think it was 30 it was running at, but just looking at the game, the setting and that, and all I could start thinking was like, they have to remake Metal Gear. It has that same sort of look about it. Because the sort of games were made in the same sort of time frame. That sort of weird cyberpunky type, I guess. Like this sort of industrial looking green.
Yeah.
That, and I was like, this could so be done with Metal Gear.
Get on it, Konami, Prats.
But it's just, the music's that it's reimagined. That you're just playing. I've recently played through Final Fantasy VII. I've
Yeah.
only done the part that the first game's going to be about, so I wanted
Okay,
to
yeah.
get like a good comparison. And yeah, it just does seem weird to be playing this sort of 8-bit almost graphics, not 8-bit, but you know, very low polygon.
Yeah.
God, 1997 or whenever it was game.
Didn't age particularly well.
Yeah. So then
And now you've got this.
there's this sort of reimagining and 2019 version or 2020 version, whatever you want to call it. It's just it's just incredible how good the game looks. The characters are now voiced for the first time ever, and it just seems right. The only thing that was a bit weird is that I suppose it doesn't matter, but the game was in Japanese, so you didn't have English voices, but you had subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't really got. I think I've heard their voices in some trailers, and they seem to be fine. But yeah, it was the combat that was good, and there was sort of seamless transitions into cutscenes as well. Mm-hmm. Sort of you'll be playing, and then it will switch into a cutscene, and then it will go back into this big boss battle. And yeah, it just sort of changed it up, but it just felt AAA.
Good.
I couldn't really think of anything bad about it. Well, the one thing that annoyed me was his hair was a bit pixelated. Get those
haircuts.
Get a bloody haircut. But other than that, I can see this doing really well. And as long as the old fan base get on top of it, which I think they will, it's looking stellar. It's really got me hyped for the new game that's coming.
Excellent. So is that pretty much confirmed it is a day one?
Yeah, that's a day one purchase for me now after that.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, that's a positive report for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep.
I've been sniffing around it, and I think we was having a chat the other day about stuff that's coming out in early next year, and Cyberpunk and the world.
We've got a little gap now, because the ones that were around it, had The Last of Us that was like 2 weeks after it. That's
correct.
Has now been moved to after April, so I think we're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Q2 there's going to be the stinker.
Yeah, so that's cleared up and given Final Fantasy its chance, because when The Last of Us was right near it, I was like, well, I've got to go with The Last of Us, but now there's room to be had, so
yeah,
definitely.
I think it's another thing with me as well, is much like when that's Shadow of Colossus came out.
Yes.
I remember thinking, I've got to play the first one. I want to know what the comparison is. And then after playing the first one, then like playing the remake, I think I should have just played the remake. It's such a better, it's so much cooler and looking better. I think that might be the thing. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, just play this new one, because it's going to be such a better and more, tighter experience.
Yeah, I've toyed with the idea of doing 7 because I've not done it, but I think when they've announced this, and now that it's actually happening and it looks in good shape for this first part, I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do this and be done with it. Like, there's no point going back and trying to play it. It's a completely different game structure as well, by the sounds of things. And the only stinker is that it's going to be in, at least it sounds like, 3 parts.
Yeah. Well,
so God knows how long before the actual game will be finished in its entirety.
It's going to be better. And to think that this first game it's about a 6-hour portion of a sort of 50-hour game.
Yeah.
They're turning this into the 6 hours into about 30. So you think, cool, how long is this going to be?
Exactly. I don't. They might be dead by the time we get the last part of this. It should be a real howler. There's a game that's been delayed out of this year that you got to play.
Yes.
And it's Doom Eternal. It's costly for your fantasy team.
Really have fucking blown me that.
It's fucked you over because it's happened after the transfer window.
I think it happened whilst we were there as well. And I remember thinking, or like the day before, and I remember are they going to fucking take the game away so we can't play it?
Yeah.
Luckily it was there.
They did. Well, the queue's big for this one.
They were. Again, this is another one. This was the first Friday morning.
Yeah.
Lovely and hungover. And we're like, right, we've got a choice here. We can either queue up to watch the Cyberpunk presentation, or do the or do Doom. I was tempted to go and do Avengers, but my 2 mates who I was with wanted to do Doom more. They're not really huge Marvel fans.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, that means I'm going to be queuing for like over an hour on my own. And I thought, it's hungover. So I thought, do you know what, fuck it. So we queued up for this. And again, this was about another hour, I think. So that full early bird hour was taken up queuing Doom. And yeah, this wasn't as big as the Final Fantasy VII queue, but definitely the second largest queue. Maybe third after Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, sort of Avengers was the biggest, then Cyberpunk. Yeah, so it's probably the fourth biggest queue. But yeah, just over an hour, I reckon we queued. And we got in to play a nice meaty demo again.
Yeah.
Probably around the sort of 20-25 mark, I reckon.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a little tutorial, and then a mission, just one of the levels. I think it sort of explained it was like a proper demo that had been made up for EGX or any convention. Sort of said, "Oh, now we're going through this a bit later in the story," and it sort of took you a bit forward.
Yes.
And yeah, it was Doom again, and it was like cool. The only thing annoyed me as a thing is it was on PC, so it looked incredible.
Yeah.
Mouse and keyboard and a controller, luckily. Yeah, like all the fucking elitists with their
Fuming, all looking under.
I was like, cool, give me that controller. I can't be dealing with that fucking mouse and keyboard. Never got on with that. But yeah, so I was like looking at it thinking, fucking hell, this looks incredible. And I thought,
runs like butter.
Yeah, I am not upgrading my PC again.
No.
So yeah, that was annoying. But yes, it's more Doom. The only thing that I wish I had played Avengers really, because as much as yes, it's very nice Doom, it's Doom. It's
again.
Doom, yeah. You're not getting a lot more for your money, to be honest. It's I know that people will say that if it's not broken, don't fix it. But yeah, the demo I played, there wasn't much innovation. You've got this new grapple hook gun, and you have sort of predator blades on your fist that you can use for some of the I forget what they're called now. The sort of kills that you could do, the fatality kills, elimination things,
gore kills.
That's kills. Yeah. Did you play
cool?
6?
Yeah, I played I played I loved it. I thought it was good. It was sort of like a throwback, but a modern time throwback, and it was just fun to play. But yeah, when I saw this, it's like when it's come out this year. Initially, I was like, that might get dropped. I was just thinking because I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's more of the same, which is not a bad thing. But if you're looking for something new, you might not find it here. The grappling hook I thought might change things up enough, but I don't know if it does.
It weren't too much. There's a lot more platforming. I noticed it was certainly in the demo.
More verticality going on.
You had we went out into sort of Mars. And you had sort of enemies with platforms, and you sort of had to grapple onto them and shoot them in the air and fly over to this other side. And you had like a launch pad. So they're definitely sort of trying to integrate verticality into it more. But it is Doom. It is. They had the badass sort of heavy metal soundtrack that got you well into it. And like I say, because it was running on PC, it just looks so crisp. And I was like, 4K monitor. So I'm sure
it ran well on the consoles.
I was going to say, they had it on 60 and almost 4K on the consoles, didn't they? So it seems.
But I mean, the PC obviously is like daddy time, but it's still the important thing for that is just that frame rate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but no, nothing. Yeah, so all good things to report, but just that it is Doom. It's a new Doom that's going to be slightly better. So if you're down for that, give it a go, get it. But if you're here for a new first-person shooter that's going to sort of grab you by the ghoulies and go, wow, I've never seen that before, I don't think you're going to get that from Doom Eternal.
No, unless you haven't played the other one.
Yeah, unless you play the other one. This is your first go in, then you might be all right.
Exactly.
It looks like they may make the character a bit more sort of personal, maybe, or more of a character, because there was like noticed in the cutscenes it sort of zoomed into his mask and you could see an actual person there before. In the old game, it was sort of you were just like a man in a suit and you never saw the character or anything.
Yeah, I don't think you ever did. Did it ever break away from first person? I
No,
can't
that's
remember if it
right.
does or not.
So
It's a bit
yes,
like
there was
Half-Life.
a few cutscenes where you actually saw him, this towering geezer, standing there, and you could see what he actually looked like. And yeah, it's quite frightening. But yeah, the graphics are oof, crispy cream.
Beautiful, beautiful. Um, Neo 2.
Yes, that's
So this is a sequel to
oh
the
one.
Souls-like Neo, which some say is harder than the Dark Souls, and
Mm.
sort of set in samurai ninja sort of stuff. This before Sekiro come along, this was
Yeah,
like this seems like a Tenchu like sort of spiritual successor,
yeah. I
and
remember
then
me and you both playing the demo.
yeah, the alpha they put
That's
out, or the
it.
beat, yeah, they put out. I've killed a few of them. And we both gave it a go, and I did enjoy
Yeah,
it,
I
but
did. I just got my
I
fucking ass
think
kicked.
yeah, it was difficult,
Yeah.
and I got reasonably far, but I didn't get to the end. But I think the one thing that bugged me, it didn't bug me at the time, but when I found out later, was that the level design wasn't as,
Mm.
it was a bit like Souls, but it wasn't one big sort of interconnected world.
Yeah.
It was more like you do a level, and yes, there's shortcuts in that level, but then you move on to the next one. And the one thing I liked about Bloodborne was that the way the map was kind of designed, where it's all joined up, and you can get everywhere you need to go. So,
Yeah.
and plus, I knew it was going to be shit hard, and I thought, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away from this.
Yeah, this wasn't my sort of typical game we play for. This basically was one of the ones that had a small queue, so we were like, "Fuck it, let's go quick."
Jump on that.
And yeah, my mate Dan,
I can imagine Dan Clark liking this. I
yeah,
don't know
he
why. I
he
don't know if he played the
he
first
bought the
one.
first one, yeah, on PlayStation and played it through to completion. So he's
Cool.
a bit of a Souls guy. I think he completed Dark Souls 1, but he's never really played Bloodborne or anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, he did play Neo, so it was his choice to go and play this. I had a little dabble, got my ass kicked, and yeah, so I was like, it felt good, it looked nice. But yeah,
You still that Geralt rip-off?
yes, yeah. No, you're not actually. No,
Oh, they got
sorry.
rid of him.
You create your own character, that's right, because
Oh,
I
fair
made
enough.
my own one. Sorry, yeah, I don't know. I hope that's not a spoiler for what happens to him. But yeah, you're not him, so it might just be a completely different game.
Yeah, I think I knew that they got rid of him because people were like, "Why are you making it look
Right,
like Geralt?"
course,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think people were like, "Come on, just give us a character creator." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
there you go."
So yeah, definitely the more very soul. I suppose the Souls games all create your own characters, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it felt a lot like Neo One. You had like the stance thing where you
yeah.
get the three stances. It was punishing as hell. I died a couple of times. I didn't get to the boss. Dan did, but he didn't beat the boss, which was
Cool.
my amusement. I was like, but yeah, yeah. More of the same. I've not really played the first one properly, so I don't know what's new or what's not.
No.
But yeah, ran well, looked good. Yeah, if you're into those type of games, it does look like that sort of thing, and it's certainly, like I say, after playing that, and I've been really interested in the new Star Wars game. The
Yes.
combat in that game is heavily taken from Sekiro. It has given me this mental idea to now buy Sekiro and try and play it. I have
We're weeks away
I
from
know,
Star
we're
Wars.
weeks away from Star Wars and fucking Pokemon and Death Stranding, but for some reason my brain wants to play Sekiro, and I know I'll play it for about 2 minutes, go die and go, right, that's been.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
silly, but yeah, I do like that Japanese setting, and I do want to try and challenge myself a little bit, but now is the wrong time. So I'm just trying to goad Salmon into buying it so we can get it for free.
Yeah, on the Steam share. Yeah, try and get him to get it on PC and then
So we can all,
download it in his library.
but it's not playing ball.
No, he's not, is he? He's not. We've now got Dragon Ball Z
Yeah.
Kakarot. What the hell is this? I've got no idea what this is.
So there's a load of Dragon Ball Z games, but this is the new game that's coming out. It's not too far. I think it's the end of January it comes out. But this is an open world RPG game.
Ah,
And
I
it's
know now. I remember you saying about
Yeah.
that.
and
This could be really big if they do it
yeah,
right
if they
because of
do,
all the fandom.
that's it. Yeah. Whereas before, it's mainly a lot of it's been sort of just fighting games. And
Yeah,
they came out with the Xenoverse, which was sort of like a 3D fighting game. And then or was it last year? I think you had the Dragon Ball Fighters, which I bought, that was just like
yeah.
a 2D fighter. And that was really good. Had a story mode and that. But no, this one is a full RPG, open world as well, and you sort of play through a sort of reimagine of the story of Dragon Ball Z.
Nice.
So yeah, so there was two demos actually. It's quite weird. They had two screens like next to each other. This is one of the ones where you just stand up at the thing, literally
Yeah.
just walk on and play it. Luckily, there's no queue. And yeah, it was just like a little demo of playing through. There was one that was sort of early, like the start of the game, and there was one that was like an end game thing. And yeah, it was just like an open world. I mean, yeah, these games are only going to really be for Dragon Ball Z fans. I can't see anyone playing this game. Fuck it, this is going to be the new bloody Outer Worlds. This is a real RPG. This one is. But yeah, as a Dragon Ball Z fan myself, yeah, I was quite impressed with it, to be honest. Like, it's that sort of anime cel shaded look.
Yeah.
Ran well. You could sort of traverse around the world using your little flight thing, your Nimbus, which is a little cloud that the main character Goku flies on.
There we go.
And yeah, you just sort of
In the knowledge.
yeah, you just interacted with sort of NPCs, and they'd give you missions, which would then be like little episodes of the series. And then yeah, obviously with Dragon Ball Z, there's a lot of fighting in it in the series, so
Yeah.
it sort of tends to work out quite right. And then
What's the combat like then? Is it all melee based?
yeah,
Or
it's all
is it all in 3D?
yeah, it's 3D, so you're sort of in the air and it's over extravagant fighting, and you sort of shooting fireballs at each other, energy waves. Yeah, it's hard to explain unless you're really into Dragon Ball Z, but it's just anime characters straining. They strain until until their energy levels get to a certain amount, and then they're able to like fire fireballs at each other and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of projectiles and a lot of sort of punching and kicking at high speeds. But no, it looks like it's going to be a decent game. I think it's one of these ones that it's going to be a real decent game, like reviewed well. I think it will be people.
Yeah.
Oh, this is on, but it's going to be one of those games that unless you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, it's not really going to be worth. I can't see many people picking it up that like yourself that have never watched a series and go,
Mate, I want the reimagined story.
yeah,
I know what this is all about.
It probably might be a better way rather than watching fucking about 300 episodes of the anime.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be a better way to do it. That'll certainly be a more fun way.
Get my Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but yeah, it's my two friends are with me are huge anime fans. So yeah, that's why this one got chosen. But yeah, good things from that. And if you are a Dragon Ball Z, I'm sure you're probably already looking into it, because yeah, it's definitely going to be the biggest Dragon Ball Z game that's been released.
Here's the real question, and this you might not want to reveal this in case there are competitors listening in the Fantasy Gaming League. But would this potentially be on a list of yours for the Fantasy Gaming League, which is where everyone creates a list of games, and you're scored on your Open Critic score, and the person with the highest wins. Would this be on that list, or is it a bit of a risk?
No, I think this will be. It's definitely going to be on the list for me. Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be, like I say, I think it will be one of those games that sort of just comes out a bit like Dragon Ball Fighters. No one expected that to do really well, and that came out to like sort of 90s. I think that was getting.
Yeah, it was really really well received.
So I think it's going to be one of those. It's just if it does come out next year, it's got a release date. Like, it's not too far away, and it didn't sort of the game I played was a sizable chunk, and it didn't sort of feel early access or anything. So I think it probably will. So, but we're gonna have to be a rush to get that on your book straight away, because I think that's January that comes out.
Yeah, it might have to be for those that are sniffing.
Yeah,
interesting. Hopefully, no one nicks that off yet.
Yeah, hopefully they won't remember this this podcast by the time
They
we
won't
start.
even listen anyway. They don't.
No, that's true.
You don't need to worry about that, I don't think. Final game I've got here, and I've never heard of it. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Val Ferris.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Nothing to do with Val Venus and the Big
No, I
Lebowski
wish it
or
was. It'd
nothing.
have been such a better game. Yeah, so this is I don't think it's one of those roguelike, but it's one of these sort of Devolver. I don't think it is Devolver either, but one of these sort of Devolver-esque 2D platformers that are coming out. Almost, I get them, the Metroidvanias, they call them.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, like this 8-bit graphics, and yeah, it's got this sort of heavy metal music, and I think it's based on like Viking lore. So like yeah, Val. It's a pun on, like I think the name's a bit of a sort of take on the Valhalla. Is it the sort of Nordic heaven?
Yeah,
Whatever it.
yeah.
So yeah, so basically.
Kratos is always waffling about
That's
that.
the one, yeah. So it's something to do with that. But yeah, it's one of these sort of a bit like Dead Cells, that type of game, that sort of 2D side scroller. And yeah, it was just one that sort of stuck out a bit. I think it's coming out soon. But yeah, it had an interesting art style to it. It was sort of quite gritty and very gory.
Right.
And yeah, you're just sort of going through the world with all these huge, massive guns. You could destroy everything and blow up, and blood splats everywhere. And yeah, it was the sort of heavy metal soundtrack. Another short little demo, but yeah, it stuck out for some reason. I'll just see if I can find it. It's on Steam somewhere.
Oh, is it? Lurking for people.
I can't remember how you fucking spell it.
VAL.
Here it is. VALFARIS.
That's the one.
That's it. Set in the far corner of space, Ferris is a heavy metal-infused 2D action platformer, and the next game from the team behind Unity Award finalist Slain Black from Hell.
There you go.
Brutal combat, deadly enemies, stunning pixel art, and a savage soundtrack. Get ready to rip the galaxy a new wormhole. So yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it's like a sort of. It had like a sort of cybery punk type look to it. Yeah, you're sort of going through it. It looks a little bit like sort of Metroid. So it reminds me of. Definitely one of those games, but it certainly looks like one of these Devolver games. You know, a bit like what was that ninja one that came out recently? Katana Zero.
Oh yeah.
Something a bit like that. Like I say, Dead Cells.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of.
Still haven't played Dead Cells, and I've got it on that Switch.
Oh, have you?
Sitting there rotting.
What was that one you went through recently? Not that was 2D, but same sort of thing as My Friend Pedro, where it's that sort of 2D, get from one side of the map.
Oh yeah.
Destroy whatever's in your way. So yeah, it was quite an interesting game. But yeah, there was one of the little indie ones that was. We could sit on and talk. Remember last time when we went and we like sat there talking to like the developer for ages.
Yes,
It was one of those sort of things, and we just sat down and played with it.
I remember we played one game there, and it was this. I don't think I played it. I think you played it, and it was like an underwater game.
Oh yeah,
it was just so slow.
Oh yeah, do you remember that was that woman, the woman developer, which is
it. And they were like, "What do you think?" Then and he was like, "Yeah, it's good." It's slow. Like what? It's a bit slow. Like, and I was like, yeah, we're trying to simulate that. And it's like, yeah, but it takes like half hour just to get.
Yeah, I do.
It's horrible when they ask things like that.
Yeah, they went, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" I wonder if that game ever did come out.
I don't know if that game ever saw the light of day. I mean, I know that we mentioned it on the podcast all them years ago, so I might go back and listen
dig it out and try and
dig it out and see what happened. Yeah. But it might be like a Death Stranding, not a Death Stranding. What was that one that one of the first videos you did?
Stranded Deep.
That's it, Stranded
Yeah.
Deep. It might be one of those.
I think.
It'll be finished. It'll be finished this year. Still 5 years later, it's still in early access.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
that's EGX.
That was EGX. Unfortunately, we decided. To be honest, we spent more time. We after playing that Final Fantasy VII, I'd say it took about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Master Hall had already had 3 beers by this point.
And that's it. He's off.
We sat down at the bar and there was a board game section, and that kid and board games are,
Yeah.
I don't know how that boy does it. But anyway, we got playing this really cool board game. We should be talking about that. A game called Tuki. It was brilliant.
Tukey.
It was basically like Tetris, yeah. We had like
Yeah.
these blocks, like these little sort of thin blocks, and then you had these cards, and you had to make the picture using these blocks, and it's incredible. And we turned it into a drinking game, so whoever done it
Yeah, of
last,
course.
and then within about an hour we were all battered, and then was like, right, should we do a lap of EGX? We've done about 3 laps, and none of us played any games, and that was basically it. That was the story of EGX.
Too much piss.
It was.
Board games.
And then we went out drinking that night, and then went, right, let's hit it hard tomorrow. Hall decided not to turn up. Yourself didn't decide to turn up.
No.
We queued up to get in the early bird, and I was tempted just to walk out and go home, to be honest. We stuck with it. I played Doom for the first game, played Kakarot, and then went home.
That was it. Get me out of there.
I think, I got the early bird in at 10. I think we left at about 11:30. Half 11, 12. I was like, ta-da! I've had enough.
I'm done this
Yeah,
year.
if you're going EGX next year, do not go on the piss if you're doing a 2-day stint.
No. Well, that happened with Biff, didn't it? When we went, he got to get off the train and didn't come back. He missed the whole day.
It's a shame because looking back now, there was a few things I wouldn't mind doing. I only recently, when I got there, they gave us a little brochure, and I was looking at it the other day, and they had a theatre.
What we
at the back.
missed.
And they were like, and a couple of things in there. They had the Digital Foundry people who were there doing a presentation, and they were going to be building a PC, like there and there in the thing, and then comparing it to the PS5, and then giving it away to one of the people in the crowd.
Bloody hell.
Nice. I was like, cool, that'd have been in. Then there was another one that was like an hour video, like a deep dive into Dying Light 2. I was like, cool.
So all these, they was like things. Did you have to sign up?
Yeah,
for those,
these are
or
ones
they
like
just on
you
at
had to
certain
sign
times.
up, and it's like a theatre they called it, I think, at the back. Yeah, you just went there at a certain time, queued up, and you sat down for an hour and watched that. So that probably would have been all right if we would have just carried on drinking in there.
Will they let you?
I don't know. It's right next to the bar, so I would have hoped they would, but I don't know. We was quite pissed, so probably they wouldn't have let us in. But that sort of thing I wouldn't mind doing. And then I noticed they had Iron Man VR as well. That was one.
Oh yes. Cool. Imagine that on Hangover.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been dreadful. We didn't mention Hall's fame. We should put the video up with this. I've got a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
Hall getting up on centre Nintendo stage. They didn't have no Xbox at this EGX. They didn't have no Xbox presence. There was a Nintendo stage, a PC stage, and a PlayStation stage.
But no Xbox.
No Xbox. But yeah, so they were playing
Fucking hell,
all
Phil.
different games on the Nintendo stage, pulling people up on stage to play the new version of Overwatch.
On the Switch.
And we managed to get one Mr. Hall up on stage. I've got video evidence up there, and he played with a load of kids and girls in his team, and he got absolutely dipped on.
You get trounced.
He got absolute fucking. He was just looking it up halfway through the game, just poor. It's like he couldn't believe how crap everyone was. He was going, I tried to take him home, but it was just an absolute brutal. It's just funny to watch. We should definitely publish the video.
Yeah, we will. We'll try and get it up.
But yeah, so he played that. There was a Nintendo in that booth as well. There was a couple of games in there. They had like the Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I wanted to play. I went to a different convention, a Japanese one, not long ago, and it was there as well. And I never got to play that, but they had that. I know didn't really interest me, but I know Dave Salmon had a good time on that new fitness game.
Oh yeah, the
Ring thing?
Yes, it. Yeah, Ring Fit.
Ring Fit. That's it. That was there as well. So there was a couple of
sweaty hands on that all day.
that's the thing.
Dirty
But I
bastards.
mean, other than that, that was pretty much it. There was Predator. That was one, mate.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
all
that
they
was.
had with that was, like one of those tin fucking, I don't know what they call, like the canister things that people, what they have at like fucking docking station, Tilbury Docks. They had
Yes.
one of them, and it had 5 consoles in it. So you had the 4. So you had like one that was
The
red
one Predator
and
and then
4, and
four,
that was
and
it.
that was
And
it.
there was a fuck off queue for it.
Yeah, I bet.
Right, so, and that, other than that, I can't think of any other games there that I wanted to play, and that there
No.
was others queuing. It really was a sparse amount of games, to be honest, and that's what ruined it for us because the big heavy hitters that we wanted to play were just so rammed, just felt that we couldn't. And even when I sort of had a look on Twitter and stuff after, sort of hashtag EGX, and a lot of the sort of reviews and feedback were exactly the same people saying the same thing, saying, didn't get to
Yeah,
play
it's a
this
shame.
year, too small a venue, too big a queues. So yeah, out and out, we probably ballsed it up by drinking, but at the same time,
What else are you gonna do?
yeah, you ain't got much to play and you don't want to queue. I saw some clever bastards that took them little camping chairs. And they
Oh
just,
yeah, there's always some of
yeah.
those, isn't
I
there?
thought that's a great idea, but when you're not playing games, to carry that cunt around.
Yeah, should have just filled up your bag with tins of beer,
Yeah.
then just got
The
smashed in the
absolute
queues.
battered and gone, yeah. Uh,
Ca- Cause absolute mayhem.
yeah. But yeah, no, it was alright. Yeah, I don't know if I'll do it again next year. Maybe. Depends if they change the venue and what games are there, but
What do you think? So this time next year we'll be right on the brink of new consoles. You think? So it
cool.
makes you wonder
I
whether there'll
think
be
we
any
went.
presence there.
Was he? No, it might have been the first one I went to. Uh, the EGX at Earls Court. I think it was. It was either just after they came out or just before. But I remember them having the PS4 controllers there, and I remember thinking, "Wow!" So it
Oh,
must have been just before because the consoles weren't out. You couldn't
yeah,
play them, but they had them in like glass
they had them
and
there.
stuff. So yeah, it will be right on the brink, won't it? The new thing. So
Absolutely.
potential. But yeah, unless they change that up, and the older I get, the less I want to queue. So
Oh yeah, it's not
no.
ideal. I mean, in a way, it'd be nice if you could just book a time for all of it. But it sounds like that
Mm.
it books out so quickly for some of them that you
Yeah,
can't get a shot at it, and
no.
that's a bit of a pain,
I
isn't
don't know
it?
why they just don't do like a Disney thing. You get the fucking fast track passes there.
Yeah,
I'll happily pay an extra tenner to get through them queues.
need a media badge. I don't know what they're doing. They should be
Yeah.
giving the all Dimp members that.
Yeah.
Did you get any good swag whilst you was there?
Absolute
Or
nothing. No,
fucking
there's no
hell?
t-shirts given out. Even Hall got like a fucking swag bag for playing Overwatch, and he got a fucking lanyard. That was it. Just a switch.
I see on the video. It's like you're not going to go home
That's
empty-handed.
it. He got like a fucking badge and a lanyard. That was it. There was no t-shirts given out. The only thing I did get was a Borderlands Psycho mask. Made
Ah,
it.
there you go.
Made it. The one that came with the game.
Halloween, perfect for that.
And that is the only bit of swag I got. There was a lot of merch, a lot of lovely merch you could buy. Um, some good stalls, but I got too drunk and was like, right, I'll go and get that later. And then thought, I ain't carrying around that when I'm drunk. I'll end
No,
up getting
exactly.
like a fucking poster and rolling it up, using it as a cigarette or something.
I thought you was going to come back with a new tattoo. That's what I
Yeah,
was really
well,
hoping
this is the
for.
thing. I was quite tempted to get one, to be honest. After Hall messaged and said, "Look, this is empty," we did go and have a look, and there was no
Yeah.
one queuing up, and I thought that's not a good sign. um, but then it was the sort of what I wanted would have probably took about 4 hours or something. So I thought, well, that's fucking hell of EGX, isn't it? So in hindsight, I wish I fucking had, but. What I was going to get was like a little Metal Gear. I was going to get like a snake under a cardboard box.
Yes.
But yeah, in the end, I decided to drink instead. I probably spent the
Easier
same amount
option.
of money I would have spent on the tattoo on alcohol.
It's a safer option.
Yeah.
Having a drink.
So yeah,
Not
so
going to get
no,
in too much trouble for
mixed
that.
feelings on the old EGX, but I'm quite glad I got to play a couple of the big games. Certainly, the biggest takeaway was FF7. That
Yeah.
is now, yeah. For any sort of concerns I had about how it was going to play and that, they were definitely squashed with that. And yeah, I'm all for Final Fantasy VII Remake. In good hands, fucking do it, and then buy the rights to Metal Gear and get that made, because it
Yeah.
definitely be done.
Get that fucking Metal Gear done. Get that remade. We've seen Final Fantasy
Yeah,
VII in the works. We've seen what Capcom have done with Resident Evil
yeah,
2. Brought that to
yeah.
life. Still the best rated game of 2019 according to
Yeah.
OpenCritic. So why can't Konami pull their fingers out of their asses and do something good with Metal Gear Solid
I had a
OG?
fucking dream the other night that Death
No,
Stranding
it was Metal
ends
Gear.
with Metal Gear. Yeah, it reveals it's in the same universe. And a little bit of me thinks he's being so hush hush about this, and the game's story is about connection. There's a small part of me that thinks that the Colonel
Colonel.
right at the end's going to turn up.
Well, the thing is, like you mentioned, anyone listening to this, be careful if
Oh
you've not
god,
if you've not played it. There's apparently the story's leaked, so
yeah, that is
watch
disastrous.
your watch your six on that.
Yeah,
That's that. Game Club closed for another little while. No idea when we'll be back. Probably to do one of the aforementioned games that are coming out in this last quarter.
yeah.
But thanks for joining me on this particular edition, and everyone else, thanks for your time, and ta-da.
Damn, 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 damn.